Greetings, friends. Welcome back to Mike Allen from Chicagoland, broadcasting from the Humboldt Park neighborhood on the city of Chicago's northwest side. And I'm currently at the site of the former home of one L. Frank Baum, the author of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Now, behind me is not his actual house. That was torn down several years ago, but this is the location where him and his family lived in 1899 when he wrote that famous novel. And I just wanted to check this place out a little bit. The city has done a really good job of commemorating Mr. Baum and his novel that went on to become extremely famous, 1939 movie. And I was born in 1980, so it's definitely lived on for generations to come. So let's check out what the city's done to this spot to commemorate that wonderful moment in time. Come and join me and let's get started. So while I was researching this video, I found that the current owners of this property, they are a organization that helps find affordable housing for people, and that was really the gist of this No Place Like Home mural, um, tied into what their mission is, as well as the slogan from the Wizard of Oz. So they thought the two went hand in hand pretty well. And also just wanted to make mention of the fact that this mural is really not that old, 2020, by Hector Duarte. In case you haven't noticed already, the city of Chicago put in a yellow brick road right in front of this residence here to also commemorate Mr. Baum's writing of The Wizard of Oz. Glad that the city hasn't forgotten about this location and keeps his memory alive and the memory alive of The Wizard of Oz. And out in front of this house, they have some information about L. Frank Baum, who lived from 1856 to 1919. Talks about how he lived at this address here at 1667 North Humboldt Boulevard in 1899 when he wrote The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Still from the movie The Wizard of Oz, which came out in 1939. And here's some of Baum's other children's fiction works that he wrote. And right here on the bottom, it talks about how a Chicago park was named to honor Frank Baum's mythical land of Oz in 1976. And that's all the way in the Lincoln Park neighborhood, which is what we're going to check out next. So right around the 1950s, the neighborhood of Lincoln Park had seen quite a bit of decay. And so a lot of the area townspeople got together to kind of put together a urban renewal plan. And right about the 1970s, that's when this park was built, and it was named after Wizard of Oz. So let's go check it out and see how they integrate that movie and that story into this park. The sign talks about how in 1974, park opened as part of that renewal program. It's hard to think of Lincoln Park needing a renewal program since this is one of the nicest and most wealthiest neighborhoods in Chicago, but the 50s, 60s, and 70s, I guess, were different times. And they utilized that time to beautify the neighborhood, and part of beautifying the neighborhood was incorporating the Wizard of Oz into this park. And one of the first statues that was built in this park came in 1995, and that was the Tin Man here. Probably my favorite character from all of the Wizard of Oz characters, just because I thought he was the coolest looking as a young kid. See this big silvery looking creature, and yeah, immediately caught my attention the first time I saw the movie. And on the back of the Tin Man statue gives name John Kearney, who sculpted this statue here, which was commissioned by the Lincoln Park Chamber of Commerce, people that donated this cause. I do want to point out about the Tin Man statue is it welcomes guests here to the main entrance of Oz Park. This section of the park is called Emerald City Gardens, named after the Emerald City in The Wizard of Oz. And right inside the Emerald City Gardens is a sculpture of the Scarecrow from June of 2005. The statue was also created by John Kearney, commissioned by the Oz Park Advisory Council. What I remember from the Scarecrow is he's the first character that Dorothy comes across on her journey to Oz, Emerald City. I'm sure this park is a lot prettier in the spring and summer when the leaves are on the trees and there's far less mud on the ground, but nice park nonetheless. So this sign talks about one of the donors to the park, Dorothy Myerson, and it's just kind of ironic that her name is Dorothy, but she donated much of her life savings to improving parks like this, and she spent close to $600,000 of her own money from her estate to the renovation of Oz Park's athletics field and play lot back in the mid-90s, 2 to 3 years after she died in 1994. And I believe the playground equipment is named after her too. Indeed it is. It's called Dorothys Playground. And ruby slippers and all. Got Dorothy and her dog Toto. Sculpted by Mr. Kearney in May of 2007. I believe this was the last of the 4 major characters to get a statue placed here at Oz Park. Often think of Judy Garland, the woman who portrayed Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz movie in 1939, and tragic her life was. Feel bad that she was never able to find that inner peace within herself. She died relatively young. But we'll keep the theme of this video at a happy pace, as we are talking about the Wizard of Oz after all. Let's see if we can find the Cowardly Lion statue. And the park does feature several athletic amenities like basketball hoops, softball and baseball fields, and there's tennis courts way off in the distance too. Walked all the way over here because I thought this rock had some type of significance. Turns out it was just decoration. True to his name, the Cowardly Lion must be in hiding because I have not been able to find him yet. I'm just gonna keep circling this park until I do. Not too bad of a view of the Sears/Willis Tower from here. Finally found the Cowardly Lion hiding here on the southeast corner of Oz Park. Had a heck of a time finding him. So this one was built in June of 2001. Mr. John Kearney. So it looks like this was the second one to be built after the Tin Man. He's even got his badge of courage there as well. So a short but sweet video today to highlight the Chicago connection to the Wizard of Oz, a timeless classic that has captured the hearts of millions of people for generations and probably going to continue to do so as the years go by. So anyways, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like and subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. There's other ways you can help me out in growing the channel. I'll put links down in the description below. Anyways, this is Mike Allen from Chicagoland, signing off from Lincoln Park neighborhood of Chicago. I'll be back next week with another video, but until then, don't you go changing.